All right, we're back with the FMS FCX10 platform, 110 scale crawler K5 Blazer. So this bad boy went through a lot of changes, a lot of different parts get developed. We have a suspension developed in the rear, we have a suspension developed in the front to give us more flex for off-road, but also more travel plus different type of behavior. Because I kind of turned this into all-around trail truck, and somewhat of a pre-running truck at the same time, as we can see here by this Proline bumper. Some of the tires that I am running on this, these are the new Pro lines, again, same thing, company as a bumper, as BF Goodrich Baja TAs, also known as projects. So the proper pre-runner, desert tires, they're on it. I've been running them for a while to go along with the suspension package that I'm running. Up in the back here, I have my crawl tires. So I got a set of these RC four-wheel drives, Baja Claws, Mickey Thompsons, and I'm actually set these up to run reverse chevron that go at the back. That gives me that digging power for the sand, for the dirt, things like that. Performs rather well that way. Some unconventional to use. This is have been seen used if you look around, in other off-road applications. Basically, the idea is to get you a bit of a paddle behavior. And at the front, I didn't mount them up yet, but I got a nice soft set of BFG KM3s, the mud tires right here, and it's a little stiff right now because it's cold, but they're nicely soft and grippy, just like these guys. I didn't mount them up on the wheels yet, and these are 4.8 tires or 4.75, while these projects, they're 4.4. Set up for the way that I run it with the sway bar and dual shocks. At the front, I have twin traction beam suspension, which is a four-wheel drive I-beam, and I have it running with dual shocks as well. This is one of my newer kits. That one's been, the mezzanine has been updated. This kit includes new shock towers, again, to support the dual shock. We have the four-wheel drive beams right here, left side, right side. This is a differential carrier. We have a cross member, and then we have our radius arms. All of this is 3D printed. They also get metal rod inserts inside of them. These parts here don't, the one that, not at the moment at least, the one the truck do. And up front, also, this is a battery tray. So I made that to put more weight here in the front of the vehicle for when I do crawling. It'll keep the front end down, give a bit more traction to the front wheels, getting over obstacles. And we can actually see how the TTBs are leaning the front wheels. So let's get this chassis flipped over or moved around. Let's take a look closer at the suspension. Mezzanine arm suspension. What this is just an alternative shock packaging. It's basically a combination of trailing arm, the mezzanine arm, and a cantilever with the link setup. It's just an alternative packaging, mainly used the SUVs to get your more out of your shock, to get more travel at your axle from a shorter stroke shock. One of the things that I had to do a lot of messing with building this as somewhat of a Baja vehicle is optimizing the leverage ratios, because you want to have good amount of shock, stroke, and etc. to have good behavior. So this is where it's at in its final form. If you have a previous version and you don't really experience a problem, you mainly use it for crawling, don't even worry about it. The only change is the arm. So if you do want to have the newer arm, let me know. We can set you up and you can order up a new arm, but that's the only difference that is. When you order the kit, what you get the mezzanine arm, you get the mounting bracket or the shock tower assembly, how you want to refer to it. It is slotted, so you can fit it in any platform, SCX, FCX, Traxxas, Element, etc. It only has one hole that's not slotted, which is the back bumper hole, and that is your anchoring hole, just to kind of keep it from, twitching back and forth, locking it in. And when you mount it up, as you can see here, it's rather well customizable. I have spacers in to push this out further because I have the sway bar running, which that's the other thing, almost forgot. The tower bracket comes with the support for a sway bar, and you can see a few extra holes for, mounting accessories and etc. things that you might want or you might like in it. So that's there. You will need to get your own shocks and get your own links. Length that you want to use is just dependent on what you're trying to do and where's your twist break point. So that's something to keep. What I mean by twist break point, I mean this angle here. You have to be careful at that. You don't want it to be basically too much like that, because then it becomes like a break point where it's just going to jam itself. So that's something to play with. For the shocks, I am using for the coilover 90mm and 100mm for the oil control. And it is, as you can see here, dual shock support, so you can, really fine tune the behavior, the characteristic that you want. Like I'm using these negative pressure springs, which took some more money to make them actually work, not leak, and then hose not swell and to work and behave that I want to. but they were like 17 bucks, so that kind of, you know, goes with the hand. That said, they behave rather well, and when I do crawling, I just unbolt the sway bar, the little bolt back there, so it disables it, and then I just take the adjusters at the top, fully wind them out to lower the compression on these, so this flexes a lot easier, and when I go crawling, it just, you know, moves around more. For the travel, I am personally sitting at 50 millimeters. Like I said, this is quite a bit shaved and modified. It's basically, I wanted these tires to tuck up super tight up top. When I come off the bump, this tire like probably smushes because the body's not wide enough right now, about this much. So it goes in about almost a 1/4 inch up inside of the body, pretty close to this where that fender is at. And I want to have that compression to jump, you know, so I can keep the vehicle lower for the bashing purposes, so it has more control, less rollover. But yeah, you know, those are just things you can do, modify, you know, etc. Mess with it. And that's in my case because of the portal axle. I had to do all those little extras because of this extra space. I needed to somehow make things work where the axle can tuck up higher before it hits the frame rail. But all that aside, that's the rear. Let's take a look at the front. So here we have the TTBs. This is based on FCX10 portal axle, so you will need that axle as a donor. Just like the mezzanine arms in the back, this will bolt up to any chassis. You just need to, you know, use the FCX10 as a donor parts because that's what I had. That's what I built it at. Possibly TRX4 might work because technically FCX is more or less is a bit of a clone. So that's a possibility as well. If you want to find out, you can let me know. But outside that, you will need a donor axle. You will need some M3 rod end links. And then you will need tie rod links here to set up your steering. And you also will need the axle for the to build the intermediate shaft. That'll be here in the next part. But yeah, this is 3D printed, 72D TPU. The nylon wasn't being too friendly, so that is what I went with. That printed a lot nicer, got a better finish on it. All of these parts, as you can see here, nicely moves around the dances. They have metal rods, inserts in them. That is to, one, to put in rod end links, two, to give us support and a little strength in the thinner parts where it needs it. Also, like the radius arm here, that needs to kind of get bent to clear the frame rail. It comes straight, you'll have to bend it to clear yours as needed. The parts, as we're looking at them right here, those are the spares that haven't been fully finished yet. Again, they'll look like a fabricated housing. So that's kind of what I went with. And we have, this is the left housing, the differential carrier, this side. Here we have the right housing. That's this guy. We got a cross member. And then we got our radius arms. And they actually have these made it look like billet arms. Outside of that, you also get the shock towers to run the dual shocks. The shock towers, they are actually slotted. So there's one designated hole right up front and the rest of it is slotted. The reason is so you can line this chassis up however you need to line up in your vehicle. And on the cross member, there is a hole pre-made right here. That's for the designated hole, so it lines up the shock tower with this cross member. But yeah, when you mount this cross member in, don't drill any holes, don't touch your shock towers yet. Just kind of slide it around. Get your rest of your kit assembled, get it in place, slide it around, get your wheelbase set up, get your track width set up. Because at the end of these, you might be able to see I have a 3mm spacer between my rod links. Depends on what rod links you use. I'll give you extra rod there. You might have to trim it, might not have to trim it, etc. You want to get it set up right so your chassis fits right, so everything, you know, lines up pretty well. So once you have that lined up, then you can drill in extra holes into this to match your stock factory frame holes. To mount everything up in place. It's steering. So I have, as you can see here, I have adjustable turnbuckles. That is what I'm using. To kind of have this one's a bit bent or bented because there was not a blue offset one. So that's kind of what I modified it to make it work. For the servo, I'm mounting mine on this front frame rail support bumper carrier platform, whatever it's called, in this. But I have it mounted to the offset to the right. And that's because these beams, as you can notice here by this cross member, are off slightly different lengths. Left side is longer and the right side is shorter, just like in real life. And that is to create clearance for the differential carrier itself. So that kind of is a bit of an issue for steering in real life. You have to do swing steer or single swing steer, etc. to make you not have bump steer, not have any weird steering issues. And tire wear. In our case, it's working out in the favor because we can do some geometry trickery by staggering the rods and how they bolted up. For example, I have this one closer to the horn while this one's further away to tune out the bump steer and or get a bump steer that I want. As an example, I have mine set up where I get a little bit of toe in at full compression. You can see it somewhat on the camera, and that basically gives you that straight ahead straightness when suspension comes off a jump or a bump, when you're steering a car. But yeah, so that's something you will have to mess with, is the steering, to get it tuned in the way you want it to. All right, builder bear time. So we're gonna build this whole kit and put everything together. The parts that are used, they're here on the screen in the corners. But yeah, we got FCX donor axle, we got two different 24 scale drive shafts, we have a spring, and basically that's what we need to make. We make a third carrier, we gotta make a modified driver side drive shaft, and then we gotta build an intermediate shaft for the right side, because we need to have this devil scissors sliding agent going on here. Spring, as you can see here, is being used to keep this pushed out, so none of this comes apart, it stays pushed into the places that it needs to. Let's start with the carrier. So this is the carrier. Essentially, we're going to shave off both sides, and we're going to have a tube on the driver's side. So this is the measurements you're looking at. Everything else extra, just shave it off. We don't need any of this stuff. Just make sure to leave your locker part on, because you want to be able to slide in. You'll see when you try going to your housing, you want it to drop right in. Here's the housing here I have, and just like that. So yeah, you can see here everything you'll want to kind of have gone for the best clearances and not to have any issues. One thing to keep in mind is the bearing seat. You will need to cut that in, because we'll want to reuse these bearings. A, will seal. 2, will carry our axles correctly without them bouncing around. It is a 7/16 stepper bit. That is what I used. And for the driver's side one, I actually pushed it in a little bit further. As you can see, mine's recessed. I wanted to have the axle to have a little bit of float, so it does not bind on the knuckle whatsoever, does not get that opportunity. And that's something just, to throw it in there. Then the spring for the locker, you'll want to cut that down to about 3 to 5 millimeters. I was starting on the higher side and see how, how strong, how weak yours is. Basically, the way the locker works, this gets pushed over here. That spring pushes in this locking collar in. When it gets released, this spring pulls it out. And in theory, it compresses that leftover spring here, pulling the collar out. So if this spring on the inside is too strong, it will not disengage all the way. But it's also, if it's too weak, does not press in your collar in all the way, this does not push it in completely, this arm. It will not engage full drive. So that's something to play with to make sure you get it right on your rig or on your axle when you get it. Driver's side axle. This is the easiest one to do. We're just going to cut it to this length. This is the to this bearing stop of the seat, that stop point right there. And then you're going to add these two flats in it, so it slides up into the diff and locks in. Pretty easy. Now the passenger side, a little bit more. So we're going to start with splitting the axle in half. We're going to take the gear drive out, and then we're going to take the inner shaft out. For the shaft out, we'll work on this end. This is the one that needs modified. One, it needs to cut the length. This is the spec, again, from the bearing seat over. And then you're going to run the flats, and the flats going to get shaved. I recommend doing it with the file all the way over to where the bearing seat starts. So from the bearing seat end to here, and then to here. Next is the intermediate shaft building. We will need the female coupler end. You will need the male coupler end. The male coupler end will go on the outside. The female coupler end will go on the inside like that. Then we will need the male smaller drive shaft, and then the female one. You'll want to use the longer ones from this kit that I've posted up here. It gives you more room to adjust things, and you can trim and cut things as needed to be. You can see how long this one is. The goal here is to cut off these joints right about here. You can even shave it down if you want to go right about there, but you do want to have some of this flat because when you put it, that's going to get tapped in or inserted right up inside of here. You can actually see the collar's coming off, and you can see where the split is. But that's going to get inserted up in here, and then you're going to run your screw in to tighten it in place and latch it in. So yeah, I do recommend making sure you get some of this. You don't want to shave it off completely. You want to have some of the strength there in place. Next, for the passenger side, again, you're going to cut this off right there, nice and flush. And on this end, what I would do is add some flats. This way, when you insert it in, it'll go right up inside of here. And when you run your screws in place, you'll go into these flats to lock this in so this does not twist. Because on this end, this housing is aluminum. So if you line it up just right, it'll dig right into it and it'll jam it up in place. Alternatively, you can also go in with a drill bit and drill a hole down a little bit to give you a better locking point if you feel it slipping. But now you're just going to assemble it up. As I mentioned, this goes in together like that. You'll end up with this guy. You'll run your spring in place, and then there's your intermediate shaft. Alternatively, you might need to shave this down. I know mine is, but that is from the testing of making things clear and fit. Right now, looking inside of there, I have a lot of clearance. I don't have a problem. So this joint as it is might be fine, this outer male coupler. That being said, check your clearances. If you need to shave it down, take it off, grind it down. But yeah, that's the Build-A-Bear. Let's get this up in the rig. Alrighty then, and that's the chassis. Those are the all new parts that I got developed for it. The ones that are for sale is available is the TTBs and the Mazin arms. If somebody is interested in a battery tray, I'm not sure what all vehicles will fit. Let me know, and I can always set that up as well.